All right, here we go. Good morning. This is Empire Talks Back, brought to you by the San Bernardino County Department of Public Health, West Side Story newspaper, and the Improve Association, and we can all improve. Today's guest, we are really honored to have Senator Cory Booker, representing the state of New Jersey since 2013 and humbly adding to his family's legacy of service since birth. You can Google his accomplishments and contributions, but today we hope to generate a short list of what yet needs to be accomplished, something that you and I can participate in. I've asked Senator Booker to identify and describe 5 critical issues confronting America and their potential solutions. Time is short. Let's get to it. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. It's so good to be with you.
God is great. I'm extremely grateful. Your uncle, Limaury, said to be sure to say hello.
My Uncle Butch is
your
what
uncle
we call him, and he is the
I
man.
call him Limaury because
really
Butch.
Part of the circle of elders that has raised me.
I call him Butch because as we were coming up chasing the world in high school, my nickname is Butch as well, so I had to give him Captain Lim as to separate us. Senator, it's a pleasure to have you here. I hate to put you to work, but I don't hate to put you to work. What's going on? What are these 5 issues? Anybody that could talk for 25 hours has to be respected, and we want to give you respect and allow you to see what you can do in 20, 25 minutes. If you could list 5 priorities, not describing all of them at this point, just give us all 5 just in case we get stuck on number 1 as you talk, because I'm going to honor your distribution of this information. I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and that's try to be quiet. So if you could give us a list of what you think are the issues, and then let's go back through it and allow you to elaborate on those issues. Is that a plan?
Yeah, that's a plan. Let me go really quick. Number 1 is Americans need to keep more of the money that they earn. We have a nation right now that has a rigged tax system where the highest earners pay the least in taxes. We need to make sure everybody in America keeps more of their pay and therefore gets a pay increase. Number 2 is we have a massive problem with healthcare being unaffordable for most American families who are choosing between rent and paying their prescription drug costs, choosing between making their mortgage payment and covering their health insurance. So if number 1 is to make every family in America wealthier by keeping more of their pay, number 2 has got to be driving down their healthcare costs. Number 3, we need an America that ends this rampant, acceptable corruption. Our politics is rigged against working people because we have a terrible reality when it comes to the money in our politics. I watch it here. It's one of the reasons why I don't take corporate PAC money, issue PAC money. I just run my campaigns overwhelmingly off of individual contributors because I see how the corruption in Washington means that the wealthiest, most powerful people and corporations write the rules, and we need to get back to doing that. Number 4 is we need to make education and training achievable for all. Education is too expensive. Families see their children finding more and more hurdles to that education and their well-being. And then number 5 is a defensive thing. Right now, Donald Trump is doing awful things to the world, to our economy, his chaotic tariffs, his cutting healthcare, his giving billionaires tax breaks while making life more expensive for everyday Americans, what he's doing with ICE, slamming people down, his outright attack on Black and brown communities. We can't forget that we have seen authoritarian leaders, demagogues, and others rise in the past. We're not helpless. We have agency. We can push back. So those are 5 things really quick that I would say are urgently important and high on my list.
Very good. I don't know where to start. That's once again, I'm going to be quiet here because I've been on a campaign since January to impeach President Trump. They tell me that that's not going to work because, it's not going to vote all the way through. However, I'm one of those people that says if you don't complain, nothing is going to get done. If he acts a fool I know your Uncle Butch and we knew that if we acted a fool 10 times a day, our parents would get in our pants 10 times a day. There was no accumulation of insults against the world before we were brought back into proper attitude and display thereof. So that's my attitude. But I'm not a senator. So I'm going to once again yield to you. Where do we start? You've got five issues here. Let's get started. Which one do you want to pick first to talk about and expand upon?
Well, why don't we take this reality that Donald Trump is causing so much pain? It's one that you said. So we'll go reverse order with really looking at this president who has so hurt this country and African American people. Black home ownership is the lowest it's been since 1960. We are a nation that now is seeing our costs skyrocket. Year over year, inflation is up when he promised to bring it down. He has cut the Affordable Care Act, savaged it, and pushing millions of people off their health insurance and driving up health insurance costs. And his Medicaid cuts, $1 trillion through Medicaid, is not going to hit until the end of this year, which is going to throw tens of millions of more people off of health insurance. So this guy is a clear and present danger to the well-being, economic well-being, the healthcare well-being, and then just our democracy as a whole. So we have got to hold him accountable, and we've got to organize around stopping him from doing more harm.
He has effectively destroyed our infrastructure, our social infrastructure, our help to what apparently is for the people, but it's for our society. Our society wins and benefits when we don't have homeless people having to live on the streets. Our society advances when we don't have to have our emergency rooms filled up with people who can't get health care otherwise. Our concept of fairness is insulted with the racist statements and activities and his supremacist attitudes that he supports overtly, not quietly. And I'm impressed with the United Kingdom telling Kanye West that, well, your attitude about your racist attitude about Jewish people says you can't come in here. If that were the case here in the United States about people expressing racism against black folk who have been the number one target for racism and hate in America since America has been established, we would be in better shape. But somehow the hate against African Americans is almost like apple pie. Well, I'm not a great apple pie eater, even though my mother makes a great apple pie. But I think that we need to be able to readjust some of the values that we have. And at this point, Mr. Trump is the Antichrist as far as I can see. How do we get rid of Mr. Trump's influence? And would we get rid of his influence once he is no longer president? And the clear and present danger that I see is that will he allow the midterm elections to take place, Senator Booker? Or will he come forward with a fake emergency or even a real emergency, as we see he's capable of creating, to allow him to call for martial law, take over, and use his goon police force that he's created with ICE to throw confusion into the whole situation and indeed call for martial law? Whether it works or not, the issue would confuse the election process, and that's what I'm concerned about. Your thoughts?
Well, I will tell you right now, we, especially African Americans in this country, know that there's always been a threat to our ability to vote. And in the past, we took precautions. I was in Nevada visiting my mom and my Uncle Butch, and I met with Congressman Horsford and a group of black pastors, and they knew the history. They knew in the past we've had to do things back in the 50s and the 60s to ensure people had the right to vote. we knew then that there was going to be outrageous attempts to undermine our voting rights, and therefore we had to do extraordinary things to secure them. So yes, this president is a threat to voting rights. Exactly what you said is absolutely possible for him to be sending ICE agents to our polling spots or finding some trumped up reason to call for an emergency. But that doesn't mean we have to submit and take it. It means that we need to be prepared. I tell people over and over again, it's better to be prepared for a crisis and not have one than have a crisis and not be prepared. And so what I want more people to do is to, number one, make their plan to vote. Vote by mail if your state has that opportunity, because then you don't have to worry about what goes on at the polls.
And mail it early.
Ensure that you send that ballot back early, not the day before, 2 days before, because they're going to try to play games with ballots that are received late. The first thing you got to do is put your own oxygen mask on. How are you going to vote? What is your plan? And then number two is you've got to take action with other people. We organize and we mobilize. That's how Black folks have been able to secure not just their rights, but rights for all Americans. Because Black people, whether it's the suffrage movement or the labor movement, Black people have always been at the center of that kind of activism. Organize and mobilize. What groups, organizations in your community are you working with, contributing to, supporting, and being a part of? So those two things, make your own plan to vote, help other people with their plan, and join those people who are trying to do everything possible to make sure that we overcome any kind of illegal actions or shenanigans that Donald Trump tries to pull around Election Day.
Freedom is a participation sport, evidently, and we will have to participate. Let's get to the point then of education, how we can operate with an attitude that says suppressing education is a good thing, is a problem. And Mr. Trump has once again pulled the rug out from under us with our emphasis on creating educational opportunity for everyone. Your thoughts on that and how we can once again deal with that issue? Because you're right, it was once totally illegal all across the United States for Black folks to be taught to read. But we read well and we write well. So how we broke that spell, how do we break this spell now?
Well, my grandfather, Uncle Butch's father, used to always tell me...
The great Limaury Jordan for first.
The great Limaury, or the original Limaury Jordan, my granddad, said the more you learn, the more you earn. It's in a global, knowledge-based economy. A educated populace is what will grow the economy for all, and we need to be doing more to support the education of our population, as opposed to what Donald Trump is doing, which is cutting back. I mean, he's eviscerating the entire Department of Education to begin with, which is often how many schools get added resources to help with everything from special needs children all the way to with science and technology research. And so again, that's why it comes back to voting. That's why the midterms are so important. To return Democrats to power in the House and Senate goes a long way to our ability to fund education. Because remember, education and funding is done by Congress. A president should not have the power to do it, even though he's doing it right now, but we're not checking him. We're not balancing him. The second thing I want to say is we're in a new era of humanity. We're about to see these waves of technology, AI, quantum computing, robotics, automated driving, that's going to shake our workforce like never before. And we need to start preparing people through our education pathways to the jobs that are going to be needed in the 21st century. And that's why instead of cutting education, we need to have a bolder and a bigger vision for that.
And as we compete with the world and participate with the world, we find that others across the planet are emphasizing education. They are making it possible for their population to participate and evolve and grow. And for some reason, we are being attacked here in the United States to be pushed in the other direction. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Mr. Putin had become president of the United States with the desire to break us down and tear us up, he could not have done as good a job as Mr. Trump has done. Our education system, our desire to be educated, from his standpoint, seems to be The best education is no education. Just do what I tell you to do. Our solution is to
one, we have to, again, put people in office and in control of our government that are going to stand up for education and public education, stand up for teachers, stand up for community colleges, stand up for HBCUs. It's time that we get the Republican Congress that's cutting education out and the Democratic Congress in. But that can't stop there. We have to start being a nation that understands that pathways to prosperity are not only going to college, that there's a lot of training and apprenticeship programs for the kind of jobs that will endure no matter how big AI gets and what kind of future we have. We need to be supporting union jobs. My grandfather was a UAW worker, worked assembly lines, and was able to get his foot into the middle class because of union labor. So there's got to be a bolder vision for how we train and equip our young people to thrive in the 21st century, because the ideas of last year are not going to be the ideas that help us get there. So yes, there's a defensive portion, stop Donald Trump, get a Democratic Congress, but then that Democratic Congress has got to start standing up for emboldening pathways to education and training.
I hate to interrupt you, but
yes.
They're telling me, your time is running short. So I want to ask you, as you mentioned Congress, and you also mentioned corruption in politics, what can we do to stop politicians from being able to take advantage of inside information,
yes,
head straight to the stock market? It seems like every Monday morning we make a bunch of new millionaires because of something that Trump has done on Friday to beat up the stock market and tell his friends what he's going to do to solve the problem on Monday, so that on Monday morning they're all propped and prepared to go out and buy the right stock and be ahead of the game. And we see it every Monday. What do we do?
Well,
How do we do
one,
something?
Don't support any politician. I don't care what office they run for, unless they make a pledge to you, like I did. I sold my individual stocks, and I made sure that I was standing for the principles that I'm trying to actually accomplish.
God bless you. God bless you, Senator Booker. But we see people stand up in front of you and in committees as they are being approved for office and tell you what they're going to do, and they tell you straight out lies. And after they get in office and produce proof of their lie,
yes,
you guys can't even impeach them and get them out of office.
Well, that's why we have to pass
legislation. We cannot call back our elected officials. Once that congressman is in, we can't go back and recall him. We can't recall senators. What do we do?
We pass legislation to make it illegal for senators and congresspeople and presidents to trade stocks, to make it illegal for the Supreme Court to take unlimited gifts from millionaires, fancy trips, mobile homes. We pass laws that make it illegal for a president like Trump to have crypto coins where he's making hundreds of millions of dollars. If we don't pass the legislation, people are going to still do what they're doing. So I've got legislation that I'm on to end this, and not only that, but to end the unlimited Citizens United dark money that flows into our politics that corrupts so much.
I was told that your passion for the truth is one that does not allow you to pay attention to time. That's how you were able to speak for 25 hours.
Well, I know my staff is pulling me to my next thing, but this is you're 1 degree of separation from family, and I want to drive a couple more points really quickly if I can.
As long as they don't come and beat me up.
We have a healthcare emergency in this country. Healthcare is now more and more being the providence of the wealthy and out of the reach of most Americans. This is something that we could do something about, and it has to be center of our minds as voters, because too many Americans now have health insurance that they cannot afford, and they think they even have health insurance, but when the crisis hits, they found out it still pushes them into bankruptcy.
That's right.
This has got to be a center of our agenda to being a humane country that allows that kind of justice. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm trying to push the Democratic Party, we need big visions to help people have more money. And that's why I rolled out a bill that says enough. No one pays taxes, federal income taxes, on the first $75,000 of earnings. Would give most Americans 10 to 15% raise in income in our country. And we need to go further than that. And I've got some big ideas to make sure that work pays again. Keep your pay. We need to make sure that people are paying less in taxes, have more income, can afford more for their family, and the wealthiest Americans who pay effective tax rates lower than the firefighter, the nurse, the police officer, that the wealthiest are paying more in taxes that puts them in line with a tax system that is absolutely fair. So we've got to start bringing those big ideas. We cannot define ourselves only by who we're against. We have got to start having a vision that includes people having a raise, keeping more of their money, having affordable health care, having pathways to prosperity and education, and making sure that we finally address the injustice, the racism really, of having a nation where blacks are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth, have higher rates of disease, have it harder to get a loan for a house or get a proper assessment. We've got to still do the final work of ensuring that the American dream is real, that we redeem the dream for all of America's people, not just some.
If I had a chance to speak to Santa Claus and say goodbye to him on the way out the door, I'd ask him about my gift list for the future. My gift list for the future with you, if I'm blessed to have another conversation, is your attitude about a universal base income, not basic, not universal, but a base income so that everybody has the basics and assign that income to covering the basics so that if we gave you some money, we would be assured that you could cover your healthcare costs, your housing costs, your food costs, and your ability to pay your way to work. After that, maybe there'd be a little 5% left over for you to go to the movie. But your base income should cover your base needs to become self-sufficient in America and not use up my emergency room and not use up my social services because we've decided that you should be homeless or we've decided that you should be hungry. We should decide to take care of you, not because it's for you, but because it takes pressure off society and allows us to move forward and evolve in a way that's progressive and successful. Senator Booker, God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Hey, man, do me a favor. Call Uncle Butch again and tell him we got to do this more regular, even if it's every few months. I've enjoyed this, and the brother behind you stroking those strings, man.
That's the mood master.
He is a bad man.
That is my man, the great Anthony Garcia. That is the mood master, and thank you for acknowledging him because he says the $3 million that I pay him a week is not enough. So
I need a mood man in my life. My wife and I can use that in the background music.
You got it. Once again, thank you so much, and definitely as soon as Ms. Vasquez says that it's okay, we'll be back. And as far as Butch and I are concerned, you'd be here every Sunday. God bless you.
God bless you, man. God bless everybody. May the Lord, I believe that the Lord will deliver, but faith without works is dead. So let's get out there and do the work.
We appreciate you. God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Stay strong with it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, we have just been blessed with some information that gives us an idea of what we need to be doing. And we're going to take a short break and come back. And let's go back to this great conversation that we've had from, I don't know, maybe our future president. I don't know. We didn't talk about that. Maybe that's something we could talk about. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather have him there than the one that we've got. Without a doubt. This is Empire Talks back on Wallace Allen. We'll be right back after these short, important messages.
In San Bernardino County, black babies are almost 3 times more likely to die before their first birthday than white babies. From 2018 to 2023, the number of babies born too early went up by more than 10%. Black mothers also have a higher chance of feeling sad or depressed during pregnancy, which can affect both mom and baby. But there is hope, and people are taking action. That's where FEMUR, the Fetal Infant Mortality Review, comes in. FEMUR is a local group of doctors, nurses, community leaders, and neighbors They work together to learn why some babies die and how to stop it from happening. They look at real cases, mom and baby's information is kept private, and share ideas to help make care better for families. Together, we can build healthy beginnings for Black families. For more information, visit dph.spcounty.gov/MCAH or email askmcah@spcounty.gov.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Okay, let me get back on this deal here. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. We're here on the case for truth and justice with the right information to improve the situation. We just had a half-hour conversation with Senator Cory Booker. He went through some things with us. He gave us 5 issues that he thinks are very critical and important for Americans to be concerned about. One of them was to figure out how to keep more of our money, allow ourselves to not have to pay so much in taxes, and to be able to direct those taxes a little bit more efficiently, or that money toward taxes. Our health care concerns are tremendous. But one of the things that we were able to do as well was to pay attention to Senator Booker's legacy. Now, part of that is his uncle Butch, my high school partner. I believe that's him on the phone now. Limaury, is that you?
I'm here.
Okay. Did you get a chance to hear the interview with your uncle?
Yes, I did. I'm always so proud of my nephew.
Yeah, and he seems to be very proud of you, and he's very proud of that relationship. Of those things that we were talking about, Uncle Butch, one of the things that I was most impressed about is his passion on almost everything that he talks about. He's got a tremendous amount of passion for that. As you were watching him growing up, I know that he played football at Stanford. He was a wide receiver, if I'm correct on that. Am I right?
Yes, I'm getting a little feedback here from the other station. Let me turn the volume down on the...
Oh, yeah, turn that thing off.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, that's better.
There you go.
Okay, so what was the question again?
Yeah,
I
was just going back through some of your history with your nephew and some of the things that demonstrated at an early age that he was a special young man.
Well, he always took the time to question older individuals, especially my parents and older folks, and to understand a family history, where we've come from, what we've been, what we encounter, what was life like growing up, and finding a way through the madness then to provide the opportunities for himself, my sisters and I, and his cousins and future generations.
Right.
And so he has understood the struggle from the beginning. He's always been a caring individual, and he pays attention to those around him in all walks of life, and he's got a great deal of empathy for the human condition.
So
when you say what was he like, he was like you and I, but he had a strong passion for it.
Well, you and I are not senators. Okay.
Well, no, we chose different paths. We had different paths.
That's right. That's right. And his concept of service, however, is something that definitely reminds me of your father.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's definitely a service. He and my grandfather spent a lot of time together talking.
Yeah. So
and hearing some of the family history and some of the things he encountered and what it was like to be the first black to be the secretary of the labor union at Ford Motor Company when he was growing up.
Well, one of the, as he went through those 5 points, those 5 issues, he was passionate about all of them. But the idea of political corruption seemed to draw a particular ire from him. The idea of our politicians using inside information to buy stocks, to do deals, to create personal monies, and certainly not to even necessarily represent well the people that have elected them. I think that...
Well,
go ahead.
You look at it a couple of ways real quick, if I may. I don't want to take up too much time, but it's a simple question. You ask yourself, every person they got to ask. Is a guy making $2 billion a year, is he going to spend $2 billion a year? No. What does he need with $2 billion a year to be that wealthy? So why can't he pay his fair share of taxes? The little man who has no money struggles to pay their taxes.
Right.
And the laws come after them, in overwhelming numbers. But did we go after the big tax offenders? No. So it's a righteous indignation, and I think everybody should always have a righteous indignation at wrong. Because that's the only way we're going to get the changes, if we rally behind what's wrong and to correct it.
Now that's your mother coming out. Good versus evil.
Yeah. Good versus evil. Amen. You got it.
We don't have to go far to find out, the stimulus for that concept of fairness. Well,
the question is, why aren't many other people as passionate?
Now that's the issue. What is it that allows us to see things so wrong and accept them? That's the part I don't understand. Now,
because we leave the job to somebody else to do. We're not willing to get in and do the job ourselves. That's a simple answer.
I went by a restaurant the other day to pick up some food, drop off some papers, et cetera, and I went in to talk a little politics as I was doing that, about health care and shouldn't be, y'all registered to vote and this. And I could not get any conversation. And then I said something about the Lakers, and everybody had something to say about LeBron. Whether he's which is, I'm not objecting to that part, but I'm wondering, what is the priority? What are we really thinking about? As I want to kick our politicians back in line, I realize that there are many people who are voting or who are in a position to vote who are not really paying attention, Lim. And that really is amazing to me, how we can be caught up in the insignificant things in life in order to, I guess, make ourselves feel comfortable about our inability or lack of desire to do something about the big issues in life. Healthcare, income, as I spoke to the senator about a basic income, people are still telling me that, if you don't work, you shouldn't eat. How can that be? Because if people don't work, they are in America, we are going to feed them somehow with our tax money. If they have no health care, we are going to try to take care of them somehow with our money. If they don't have housing, we are going to try to do something to house them somehow with our money. The state of California spent almost $30 billion in homeless attempts to deal with the homeless, and we are still with the same number of homeless people. What are we doing with that money? What are we thinking about doing with that money? How can we be?
When you speak of the homeless, I carry it a step further. Think of the homeless children that we have that are in the system because they are homeless and lost parents and things. and then they age out and they have no skills, no workforce because we cut education. They have no health care because we've never taken care of them, in a sense way.
And then we got
health care is a death sentence. Okay, it's just an early death sentence. Because if you got money, you got good health care, and you stay healthy. I mean, we got to learn, I often say women take care of themselves. They're doing body maintenance all along. Guys, well, we respond to pain. When it hurts, then we go to the doctor. Everybody's got to be in healthcare maintenance.
Yeah.
Because the world has changed. We're out the allergies, the air, the water. We've got a changing Earth ecosystem that needs help, and we need educated people to work the problems and help fix the problems. But if we can't work together by staying healthy together, shit, how are we gonna get educated? We ain't healthy enough to get educated. We're gonna die.
Of all of the items that he spoke about, and they were all critical and important, we still didn't speak about the unhealthy status of the planet. And if the planet is unhealthy, there's nothing that we can do that is gonna make it. We can't get on rocket ships and go move to the moon. Yeah, I mean, that sounds great.
We won't be first in line. That's for certain.
Well, I don't know. There might be some things we could say.
The poor come along just to be the workers.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
But somebody's got.
Poor ain't gonna be the first in line.
Somebody's got to get up there and breathe the air outside of one of those space uniforms, and they'll probably find some qualified poor people to go attempt to do that. But yeah, the planet itself, and then the concept of AI. The people who are at the very front of AI are very concerned about the fact that AI seems to be able to, as we talk about aliens and a new species, AI seems to be that. Limaury, I find myself, as I'm talking on my phone to myself about what I want to do, I find that if I'm thinking about what I want to do, the phone seems to feel my thoughts and fill in. They call it autofill. I don't know. I get the feeling that this thing is actually feeling me, and I'm giving it life, and it's responding to that by proving it with the words that I needed to fit in the sentence that I'm attempting to write. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but my concern is the folks who invented it are worried about it taking over.
Well, yeah,
I don't have enough sense to know how that could be, but I could feel it taking place as it takes over my phone. They've got the little lady in the phone that supposedly is only listening when you call her, but if she is not listening when you're not talking to her, how come when you call her, she's able to respond? She had to be listening. I don't know. And I'm saying she as if that voice in your phone is a live person and has gender. Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, remember one thing. Words have consequences. Okay, and how we string two words together and, kind of determines the consequence.
Well,
so if we aren't educated, how are we going to educate AI? It's going to be full of, a mixture of everything.
Okay, so...
and then we're going to lose.
Stupid people. I didn't say dumb. I said stupid people who have high levels of intellect and very low levels of appropriate judgment. Now, that's a big problem. That's like the biggest guy, the strongest guy having the rights to make decisions. I want the strongest mind to make decisions, not the strongest bicep to make decisions. So I don't.
Sometimes I look at AI as not being as much of a help as it is being a slave owner.
Well,
because it has the potential.
Well,
to do more for you than you could do for yourself. You can't make the decision.
The idea ultimately is that the slave owner becomes a slave because he's got to watch the slave, because the slave is looking to escape as soon as possible. As soon as there's no rope around the perimeter, then the slave is trying to. But the point we're making, Lim, is that education is critical. Appreciation,
absolutely critical.
Appreciating what each other can contribute as a result of that education toward a progressive evolution for all of us, I think has to be the goal. The concept of, the thing that I'm hearing the astronauts say as they come back to Earth is looking at that little blue ball makes them, from space, makes them realize that, we are all the same. We are all one, and we all depend on each other. We are all breathing that same amount, the same oxygen, because that little atmosphere that protects us is also the atmosphere that maintains all of the oxygen, all of the stuff that we're going to use, and it's the same stuff that we've been using for millions of years. So
absolutely,
how we somehow feel so individually special without the idea that our special contribution is what we're looking for, not our special withdrawal of the Earth's resources and of the services that other folks have done is important. I guess there's a phrase that one of my favorite phrases from one of my favorite poems is, it's time to do something for your brother other than for, it's time to do something, let me do it right. It's time to love your brother for something other than what he can do for you. It's time to make our master wish come true. We have to, I guess my mother says it in a way that I agree with it before we hang up the phone every time. She says, love, 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 love is the answer. And even with those folks that I don't like, Mr. Trump, I do understand that I have to feel sorry for this guy, because all of the, and Anthony, the mood master, is laughing, but I have to feel sorry for the fact that God has gifted this man with some charisma that has everybody apparently, when they're in his presence, seem to think that, there's something magical about him. And they tend to want to go with the flow that he creates. The problem is that the flow he creates is evil as opposed to being good. It's self-serving and serving a self that has no desire to participate with others. I'm concerned about that, but before I go ahead.
I'm gonna give you one quick fact. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, no doubt about it. And when it comes to education, I live today because of a heart transplant. Now, if I had uneducated hands on my body, do you think they could perform a heart transplant? Hell no.
No, that's right. You wouldn't want to trust them to do it.
So one needs the other. Okay, there's the old saying, one hand don't shake. We got to shake. We got to be able to shake some hands, but we need all of the above. We're running away from the fundamentals that we survive by.
Well, my good
I know
friend,
the day I was born, I had a birth date, but at the same time, I had an expiration date. And only God, my Lord and Savior, knows what that is. And I'm alive today because of Him. But He has educated people to keep me alive. And I am blessed.
And you know it.
I am blessed.
And you know it. That's the other part of the blessing, is to know that you're blessed. Limaury Jordan, Senator Cory Booker's uncle, my great friend. I appreciate you and love you, and I appreciate the fact that you've come on and extended the attitude, the family attitude that Cory Booker grew up with, one of service, one of compassion, and one of ambition, not personal, but ambition for the benefit of our planet and the people on it. Lim, thank you for joining us today. And
only you could do that. Only you could make all that happen. But thank you very much for having us.
God bless you. And thank you, Limaury Jordan. Okay. We'll talk with you again.
Thank you.
And folks, we're going to take another quick short break, and we'll come back, and I'll close out today's show with a big thank you to the folks that deserve it.